The sirens wouldn't give you much time. The hum of the street outside your window, the lights from the neighbor's house, the rhythm of life you take for granted, all of it would vanish in a moment. Not everyone can dig a private bunker. Not everyone has the money, the space, or the kind of home that could ever become one. And yet, if those sirens wailed tonight, if the horizon flashed bright enough to erase shadows, one question would still echo louder than fear itself. What would you do? This isn't alarmism, it's awareness. Nuclear war may never come, but history has already taught us that when disaster does, the ones who pay the highest price aren't governments or generals. They're ordinary people, the ones who never got the memo, never saw the broadcast, never thought it could reach them. Preparation is not about panic, it's about buying time. There's no such thing as perfect safety, but there is such a thing as better odds. Because survival isn't a miracle, it's math, discipline, and choices made before the moment comes. Before we go further, pause for 1 second, hit subscribe. It might sound small, but this channel could be the difference between confusion and clarity when everything else is noise. Preparation starts with knowledge, and knowledge spreads from those who stay informed. So tonight, let's talk about survival without a bunker. Let's strip the myth away and talk about what actually works for people who live in regular homes, in cities, in apartments, in towns where there's no public fallout shelter and no government convoy coming to help. Because survival isn't just for the wealthy, it's for the awake. If you don't have a bunker, your first line of defense is the space you already live in, and the science behind survival is brutally simple: time, distance, and shielding. Every second counts, every wall matters, and every layer between you and the outside world is a shield. Radiation doesn't pass through matter like light through glass. It weakens as it travels, absorbed by mass. Concrete, brick, earth, these are the friends you never knew you had. The farther you are from the outside, the more solid material you stack between yourself and the fallout. The longer you can wait as the radiation decays, the better your odds. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control puts it plainly: the safest place in a typical home is the basement. If you don't have one, go to the center of the house, a hallway, closet, or bathroom with no windows, as far from exterior walls as possible. Your goal is density. Get between layers of protection and stay there. After a nuclear detonation, fallout arrives not instantly but in waves. Those minutes in between are your window to act, a few precious moments before the invisible dust begins to fall. If you're in a fragile structure, use that window to move to a stronger one. Seek concrete, seek underground, seek mass. Once you're inside, stay there. The temptation to run, to move, to see what's happening, that's how people die. The radiation outside will peak in the first hours and then begin to fall. Survival is patience, not panic. The rule that decides your odds is called the 7-10 rule. For every 7-fold increase in time, radiation drops by a factor of 10. After 7 hours, it's about 1/10 of what it was an hour after the blast. After 2 days, 1/100th. After 2 weeks, 1,000th. The longer you can stay sealed in, the more you let time fight for you. That's why every guide, from the CDC to FEMA, repeats one mantra: get inside, stay tuned. But what about food and water? What about the basics? The good news is that simple steps can make the difference. Bottled water, canned food, sealed packaging, these are your lifelines. Anything stored indoors before the blast is safe. Anything that was outside can still be used if you wipe it clean before opening. Don't boil water to remove radiation. It doesn't work. Only sealed or bottled sources are reliable until officials say otherwise. In a sealed space, efficiency becomes your law. Ration, rotate, and protect what you have. Every sip and calorie counts. Decontamination is also simpler than most think. If you were caught outside, take off your outer clothes and seal them in a bag. That single act can remove up to 90% of radioactive dust from your body. Wash skin and hair gently with clean water if available, but don't scrub. Friction can push contamination deeper. Change into clean clothes and stay put. Small, calm actions win over panic every time. What about iodine pills? They help, sometimes, but not the way people think. Potassium iodine only protects one organ, your thyroid, and only from one isotope, radioactive iodine. It doesn't block gamma rays, it doesn't make you immune, and it's not for everyone. Health agencies recommend it primarily for children, pregnant women, and nursing mothers. For everyone else, the better defense is still physics, mass, and time. You can't swallow your way out of fallout, you can only outwait it. Your house, even if it's thin and ordinary, can save your life if you know how to use it. Close and lock all doors and windows. Move to the lowest level or most central room. Pile dense objects along outer walls, books, water containers, furniture, bags of soil. Every kilogram adds shielding. Draw curtains or hang blankets to reduce heat and glare from flash burns. Then wait. Radiation drops exponentially, not gradually. Every hour you endure makes the next hour safer. The first 24 hours are critical. Public health agencies worldwide agree, staying indoors through that period cuts your exposure dramatically. That's the window where first responders, emergency managers, and even military agencies begin mapping safe routes and rescue zones. Your job isn't to go find them, it's to survive long enough for them to find you. Your goal is simple: buy time, conserve resources, and outlast the invisible threat outside. Now there's a hard truth here. You can't do this alone forever. Supplies run out, stress builds, tempers snap. That's why the next layer of survival isn't about concrete or canned goods. It's about people, your family, your neighbors, your community. One person alone can endure, but a small group can recover. A basement that feels cramped for one family can protect 3 if they share it wisely. A garage, a shared storage room, even a parking level under an apartment building, all can become shelters if they're sealed, reinforced, and supplied. Cooperation multiplies safety. In Finland, civil defense drills have proven for decades that shared shelters stay calmer, cleaner, and more disciplined than solitary ones. People who share responsibility share resilience. One manages the radio, another tracks food, someone else keeps morale steady. In survival, structure beats chaos every time. But building that trust can't happen after the blast. It starts now, with conversation. Don't frame it as nuclear war. Frame it as emergency readiness. Hurricanes, blackouts, tornadoes, the principle is the same. Ask your neighbors, what would we do if we lost power for days? Where would we go if the air outside wasn't safe to breathe? Agree on a meeting spot, a shared storage plan, a simple radio channel, and a rotation of duties. In a crisis, confusion kills. Clarity saves.
Start with 2 households. Build from there. If one family brings tools, another brings medical knowledge, and a third brings communication devices, you're already ahead of 90% of the population. Even cheap walkie-talkies can bridge communication gaps when cell networks die. Agree on codes. Agree on signals. Know who checks on the elderly or disabled. It sounds small, but those small details turn fear into order. And when neighborhoods start thinking this way, something extraordinary happens. Preparedness stops being paranoia. It becomes culture. Streets turn from strangers into systems. Communities that practice together recover faster from anything: fire, flood, or fallout. Every community has assets hidden in plain sight. Schools with basements, underground parking garages, municipal storage, subways. These aren't fantasies. They exist right now, under your feet. Mapping them today means options tomorrow. The next step is organization. Who has access? Who holds keys? Who maintains supplies? A block association, a church, a community center. These can be the backbone of resilience. Leadership doesn't need a uniform. It needs initiative. Cities that survive don't do it because of luck. They do it because someone asked the right question before it mattered. Every county in America has an emergency management coordinator. Their email is public. Their phone number is listed. Ask them what buildings are designated for fallout protection. Ask if the basements of schools or courthouses are evaluated. Ask what the plan is. And if there isn't one, propose one. Suggest simple, realistic measures. Reinforce existing basements. Stock basic supplies. Mark access routes. Bureaucracy moves slowly, but citizens can push it forward. Switzerland does this as law. Every citizen has access to a shelter. Finland maintains over 50,000 communal ones. These aren't science fiction, they're policy. And the United States, a nation with resources beyond measure, could do the same if the public demanded it. Preparedness isn't expensive. Neglect is. At scale, cooperation becomes protection. When hundreds act like hundreds, not like scattered individuals, the odds tilt back towards survival. That's the math of civilization. You don't need perfection, you need participation. And maybe that's the hardest truth of all, that in the face of something as vast as nuclear war, survival isn't an act of isolation, it's an act of connection. We survive as clusters, not as islands. When communities work together, they become their own civil defense. The bunker is just a metaphor. The real shelter is the network of people who refuse to panic, who organize, who build something stronger than fear. Preparation doesn't have to be dramatic. It's a conversation. It's a plan taped to a wall. It's knowing where the basement keys are, where the batteries sit, who has the radio. These things cost less than fear and pay more than luck. A nation ready for anything is a nation less likely to fall apart when everything else does. And that brings us to the final layer, the one most people ignore, the layer of awareness. You don't need to live in a state of anxiety to live in a state of readiness. Readiness isn't fear, it's discipline. It's saying, I don't know when, but I know what to do. Because in the end, survival isn't about avoiding danger, it's about meeting it with structure. When the sirens go off, when the light outside your window turns white, when you realize there's no time left to think, you'll act the way you've trained. If you've rehearsed your plan, talked to your people, and built your space, your odds skyrocket. The world may change in seconds, but survival belongs to those who thought in hours. So, if the warning came tonight, where would you go? Would you trust your own improvised shelter, or would you rather stand inside a plan built together with your neighbors? That choice isn't theoretical. It's the line between panic and preparation, between chaos and survival. And before you scroll away, subscribe to The Survival Brief, because information is protection, and preparation isn't panic, it's power.